My name is Klaas Koistra. I'm a product manager at FinDock, and I'll be in the coming half hour or so. We'll be taking you um, through our September release and everything that's in it. Before we start, it's good to mention that this session will be recorded and will be posted on our YouTube channel afterwards, so you can watch it back or share it with others who were not able to attend. And we will send you an email with details on the recording afterwards. This webinar and everything that I'm going to show you is already available in your sandbox environments and will go to production on Sunday night, September 28th. If you want to follow along for status and updates on the release, you can go to status.findock.com to learn more about when the release will hit your environment. In this webinar, we'll be talking about 4 topics. I want to give you a brief update of our ongoing pilots and betas, and after that, I'll be sharing more about 2 major topics, which is bank feed and recurring payments, and I'll close off with some small wins, which are also very important to share with you a few updates as well. But first, start with our betas and active betas and pilots. This is our current state of the betas and pilots. With the September release, BankFeed is moving GA, as well as Authorize.net, and we currently have an active beta with Direct Debit Moto, which we intend, Safe Harbor applies, to move GA in the November release. But let's start with BankFeed. With this release, we are very excited to move BankFeed, make BankFeed generally available. Which helps you to not have to manually import your bank statements anymore, which allows you to always stay on top of the latest payments made. This will close your books quicker, reduce the risk of errors or missing data due to people being on holiday or missing a day when you export your files. And BankFeed has coverage over 2,500 banks across the EU region. And I wanted to take this opportunity first to thank everybody who's been involved in the beta and the pilot for their feedback and their involvement of making BankFeed a better product. And we've spent significant time in the September release to incorporate all that feedback into the product. So what we've added with the September release, one of the major points of feedback from all of you was that you wanted more transaction set data. So we've added that with this release. We've added balance information, summary totals, and extended transaction data to make it even easier to match your transactions using BankFeed. We've made significant improvements in the ability to handle scale with more robust imports of your bank statements through BankFeed, but also being able for it to build and work regardless of your transaction volume. Thirdly, we've added a few out-of-the-box layouts, which should make it easier to get started not only with BankFeed, but with bank statement import in general. So we added a standard layout with the right components for transaction set, but also for our payment hub or FinDock file record. And finally, we've made significant improvements to our guided matching engine, which we've applied in BankFeed as well, with rule templates that extend our base rule set for BankFeed and improvements to our batch matching, which I'll be showing you later. And that's not all of it. We've added much more smaller improvements across the board with improved reference extraction, the ability to get notified when a bank account connection is due to expire, with enhanced license management, so you have the right access to BankFeed when you've purchased it for the right number of accounts. We've added support for reversing partially paid installments. And as I said, we've added bank-specific guided matching rule templates to make BankFeed even easier to use. Now, it's nice if I can tell you all about it, but it's even better if I just go right into it and show you some of the things we've been working on. So let me go into my demo environment. And I wanted to start with you on the FinDock setup, which went GA last release. And as you can see, I'm here on the home screen of the FinDock setup, which not only gives me details about our release notes, helps you where to start, but also a lot of other guidance. But as you can see on the top, with this release, we've added clear guidance on when an authorization for one or more of your bank accounts is expiring soon. So let's go into BankFeed to see what that's all about. As you can see here, I have 4 connected accounts, 2 of which are expiring soon, which basically means these accounts are still connected, but within a short period of time, in this case, in 3 days, they're going to expire. So I can easily reconnect them and don't lose any data in between. We show this message 2 weeks before the connection is due to expire. And don't worry if you miss that date. Once you reconnect your account, we will just pick up where we left off and try to catch up on the dates that we were not able to import in the meantime, so your data is still up to date without missing a beat, only with a slight delay. In this case, my nightly run has run, and one of the major improvements, which I'm really excited about, is that now with BankFeed, you also have a clear view of the balance information for your transaction. So as you can see over here, every transaction set has an opening and a closing balance, which we calculate based on the transactions and the data that we get from your bank, which allows you to prove that you've processed all transactions, but also helps you ensure that you haven't missed anything, or prove to your accountant that everything is in order and processed. This is done automatically across all the banks, and we calculate it based on the data that we get from the bank. But this gives us a clear overview and brings BankFeed on par with you used to get typically from your CAMT file, for example. Now, one of the things that you previously could do when you imported files using Processing Hub and CAMT was the ability to do something which we call batch matching. And batch matching basically means once you generated a file, in this case, for example, a direct debit file, you typically get one line item on your bank statement, which then influences multiple or many installments in your FinDock environment, and you want to update them in one go. In this example I have a file with, in this case, 10 installments that are open. I've sent them out for processing through a Pane8 file, which was successfully generated, and it's now due for collection. And as I just showed you, I'm up to date on my latest transaction via BankFeed, and this transaction came in, which happens to be a batch payment. So this is an entirely new feature which we've built for BankFeed specifically, but you can use it across all our different guided matching rule sets, which is the feature where you can use batch matching within guided matching. So as you can see over here in the guided matching progress component, we have a rule that tries to find the file and the file reference based on the payment reference. In this case, the batch reference, the batch 22335676. And once it finds it, it kicks off a new kind of process in guided matching, which is called batch matching. And what it does first, because there can be a high volume of records involved, this works slightly different than you're used to with guided matching, but it works beautifully. So the first step, once it does that, it tries to validate and confirm that the transaction you're using has the same amount as the number of installments that are related to that file, and does other validations on the fly as well. And as you can see over here, it found the file 621. It indeed said there are 10 installments, and that the amount of the installments and the transaction amount add up. So what I now can do is I can hit save and continue, and what it will do in one go, asynchronously, it will start processing the batch transactions in the background. And once I refresh my screen, we need to wait for a bit, then it will update all the installments in the background to collect it. There you go. So a new process which is started, which is a similar display as you're used to in the payment schedule, where you see there's in this case one batch, and that's preparing now, and it will update the installments on the file rack. Now this process in this demo is used for 10 records, but it's designed to work with hundreds or thousands or even million records in mind. So if you have a big payment schedule that you want to close when the payment is actually confirmed, you can do so now, not only on processing up, but also in the context of guided matching. And this unlocks massive other potential ways where you can use guided matching, like other use cases long term. And it's built right into BankFeed, but as I said, it works across the board. As you can see, it's processing, but let's just quickly go back to the file. And as you can see over here, now all the installments that were related to the payment hub file are updated to collected. If I go back to the transaction, once it's done completely, the progress will be updated here as well. As you can see over here, like I said before, one of the other things we've added with this release is new managed layouts, which are easy to use. One of the things we've added to the transaction layout now, next to the components, is a list of all the payments that are created as a consequence of this transaction, which gives you clear visibility of the outcome of the process that you've ran, which is a great way to make it more clear and more transparent on what's happening in the system, and helps you trace everything down to the specific payment installment that has been related. That's BankFeed. Again, I want to thank everybody for their involvement during the beta period and helping us shape BankFeed to become the product it currently is. It's now generally available, which means it's available for everybody to purchase because it's a paid add-on. And it's now also part of our regular support. And we're looking forward to what BankFeed can bring in the future still. But we're very excited on what customers can achieve from it, and have received great feedback. So thank you all for that. The other theme that we've been working on over the last release is recurring payments. Now, to give a bit of a refresher for everybody who is here, what's recurring payments? Recurring payments is our feature where you can, without having a source connector like Nonprofit Cloud or MPSP or something else, collect recurring payments in an easy way. It gives you full flexibility on how you collect, because you can manage your card and direct debits and other recurring payment methods. It's managed from Salesforce and from FinDock in the heart of the product, and it gives you clear visibility across the board. It works with all our payment methods, and it's a great way for customers that don't have a source to still collect recurring payments in an easy way. With this release, we set out to enhance that capability across the board, and we had 3 goals in mind before we started. One is we want to make it easier to use for both admins that need to configure and set recurring payments up, as well as for service agents or other people that create recurring payments or have to manage them. Secondly, we wanted to give more flexibility to recurring payments for different use cases that have come up and we've learned about over the last years. There's a wide variety of use cases where you can use recurring payments for, and we wanted to make it easier to adhere and allow you to serve those different use cases. And finally, we want to improve it across the board with many small wins. Recurring payments has been part of our product for quite a while, and we've gathered some valuable feedback over the years, which we've wanted to also add in this release. The major improvement, which will not impact existing customers, but they can migrate to it, is the way we create installments for recurring payments. So currently, when you use recurring payments and you run a payment schedule, as part of the payment schedule, we create the next installment and we instantly collect that. And that's great for most use cases, but it does introduce a lot of complexity as part of the payment schedule, because both the determining when to pay, and the actual collection happen at the same time. So for this release, we wanted to split that out and move the installment creation to the heartbeat. So if you move to this new way of generating installment, which again, existing customers are not impacted, they can move to it quite with minimal effort by following our migration document. The heartbeat runs, and as part of the heartbeat, we select all active recurring payments where the last collection date is equals or smaller than today, and then we create the next instance of the installment that's due on that specific recurring payment. Once it's there, you can run your regular payment schedule like you're used to, which then includes this installment and tries to collect it at the customer. Now, this unlocks a few features which have been much requested over the years. One is the ability to automatically create installments for custom payment methods that you use with FinDock. Second, it makes it a lot easier to manage for payment methods that you use where you don't require a payment schedule. For example, a standing order, a Giro payment in the Nordics, or anything else where you're just waiting for a payment confirmation or just a regular open invoice. And then thirdly, this new way of generating also allows you for granular filtering on an installment level in the payment schedule with our additional SOCL field. Previously, that was only possible on the recurring payment. And when you move to this new way of generating installments, you can leverage the same field, but then on the installment level, which gives much more flexibility on how you want to collect certain batches and payments. Now, on top of that, we've made a lot of improvements across the board for all customers that use recurring payments without impacting their process. The first one is that we've improved our handling of frequencies and next collection date calculation to support collecting always at the end of the month. Which basically means that if you, for example, have a installment or recurring payment that you want to collect on the 31st of the month, we smartly calculate the end of the month if there's no 31st of, for example, February, but continue collecting or creating an installment with the due date on the 31st when there is an installment, when there is a month where there is a 31st day. Secondly, which was also currently impossible, we've also allowed you now to set the first collection to align with the start date of your recurring payment, and it doesn't have to be a day ahead. This is a much requested features over the years, and it only makes sense for us to add it because it's a very logical use case, and we're very happy that we were able to do so. Thirdly, which is very exciting, we've added more frequencies to recurring payments with out-of-the-box support for both daily and weekly frequencies on recurring payment. Please bear in mind, if you're an existing customer, you do need to do a small manual configuration to open those frequencies up to your existing recurring payments, but they work out of the box for new installations. And then finally, we've created user-friendly layouts with a brand new recurring payments record page with both, as you can see on the right, two new components. One is a preview component that shows you all the created installments for this recurring payments that are uncollected or failed. And secondly, we also allow you, similar to a recurring payment schedule, to see an overview and a preview of which installments are going to be generated in the future, where we show the next 10 installments that are coming for the specific recurring payment, which gives you more clarity and more visibility in what you can expect. We're very excited about both recurring payments and bank feeds and the improvements with there, and we're very much looking forward to all the things you're going to be using it for, and also very interested in your feedback. So if you have any feedback, just feel free to reach out. But that's not all we did in this release. We always do a lot of small wins, which make a big difference for customers. And I wanted to highlight a few first before I show you all the whole list. One is, and this is an important one, and I wanted to address in the release webinar, that Salesforce has announced changes to how connected apps works. which are currently being rolled out across orgs, and FinDock uses connected apps to make that product work. We've been investigating the impact of it, and existing connections to WebHub and Processing Hub are unaffected. Action is only needed when you reconnect either Processing Hub or WebHub. To prevent future interruptions, we do recommend you to follow the steps outlined in Salesforce Communications Plan. But I wanted to highlight to stress here that in most cases there is no immediate action of you required, because WebHub and Processing Hub will remain working if you have a working connection. To help you along, we've created a specific FAQ tailored to FinDock with details on what you can do for FinDock's connected apps. It's already published on our docs, and you can visit it there, which outlines in more detail what I just shared. Secondly, Salesforce has a broader and deeper announcement on connected apps, which covers all different scenarios, and I recommend you to read that as well, which is a detailed announcement that not only covers FinDock specific scenarios, but also scenarios that are relevant to other customers. If for some reason you need help or have questions, FinDock support is always ready to always there. So just reach out via findock.com/support if you have additional questions or concerns, or if there's clarity lacking in the FAQ we've provided already. And we're happy to help you make sure that you can keep working with these connected apps. Secondly, and this has been a recurring theme over the last releases, with the November 25 release, which is coming next release, our classic permission set will become end of life. In 2023, we introduced our new permission sets and permission set groups. For us now it's the time to deprecate the classic permission sets. It's important here as well, the permission sets, if you have an existing org, after the November 25 release, they won't go anywhere. They will, they will remain in your org, but they will not be updated by FinDock after the November 25 release with changes in our permissions for certain new or enhanced features. It's really easy to migrate by just adding the new permission sets alongside your old sets. So it's just a very small step, but I want to highlight this again because that release is approaching quickly. Again, here we have deep and step-by-step guides on how you can migrate. We also have detailed documentation on the inner workings of our new permission sets and permission set group mechanisms, which you can use to understand how you want to apply them to your existing users. And if you need help or don't understand something, our customer success team is ready to help, and you can reach out via findock.com/support. On top of all of this, we made a lot of other changes, which I highly encourage you to read in the release notes, but I wanted to highlight a few more. One of them is that Salesforce has announced the end of life date for workflow rules, which is the end of this year, and FinDock had 1 or 2 workflow rules still active in our product, and with this release, we've deprecated them and deactivated them from our product, so FinDock is no longer dependent on workflow rules that might exist in the product. With the next release, we will actually be removing the workflows from our packages, but we first needed to deactivate them before we could remove them. There's a lot more which you can read on the slide. And then on another thing I wanted to highlight in Go Cardless is that with this release, we've added the ability for bulk registration of ACH mandates via mandate schedule. So FinDock has a mechanism where you can submit mandates that have signed either on paper or other offline channels through a mandate schedule. And Go Cardless already had that support for example, SEPA. But with this release, we've extended and broadened that support to also support submission of ACH mandates via those mandate schedules. If you want to read more about the release, we have detailed release notes published on our website, and you can read all the details about everything I shared, both for the major topics from bank feed and recurring payments, but also all the other small wins that make a big difference. And that's it for everything on the September release. Thank you for joining. I will stick around for further questions if you have them. And if you don't have them and need to go about your day, feel free to leave. And wishing you a great day.